Could you just be clear about that one more time? If the study is looking at whether to implement repeal or how you would actually implement it?
The study is about how you would implement it. If the law changes, how would we implement it? This study is not about should we do it. This study is about how would we do it.
That was Defense Secretary Robert Gates this morning talking about the potential end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the military's policy of legally sanctioned discrimination against our fighting men and women who also happen to be gay. 428 service members were fired, or as the military says, separated under Don't Ask, Don't Tell last year alone. More are under investigation right now. Those include Lieutenant Dan Choi, a West Point-educated Iraq War veteran and accomplished Arab linguist who is also gay. A year ago this week, Lieutenant Choi made the brave choice to come out right here on this program. In the year since, he has been investigated under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and a commission has recommended that he be separated from the military. Also since then, the President of the United States has made it clearer than ever that Don't Ask, Don't Tell must be repealed. And the Secretary of Defense ordered the military to study how to make it happen. Meanwhile, while Lieutenant Choi still faces the very real possibility that he will be forced to leave the military, last month, his commanding officer in the Army National Guard asked him to rejoin his unit and participate in drills with them. Last week, Lieutenant Choi and a fellow gay serviceman were arrested when they chained themselves to the White House fence to protest the ongoing policy. Today, Defense Secretary Bob Gates announced changes to the way that Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be implemented. Changes, he said, are designed to make the enforcement of the current policy more fair. The major changes, as I understand them, are these. Only a flag rank officer, that is a one-star general or a Navy admiral, can initiate a Don't Ask, Don't Tell inquiry. Also, third-party information about someone's sexual orientation can only be given under oath, meaning no more anonymous outings. The new rules say that overheard statements and hearsay are now discouraged, although they can still be used in an inquiry, and some kinds of confidential information will no longer be admissible. Statements like gay service personnel make to their lawyers, for example, or clergy or doctors. Do these changes mean that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is over? Not even close. They've just decided to make the policy more like they promised it would be in the first place. For more than 15 years now, members of the military who weren't telling anything were still drummed out of the service, but the military sure did ask, to the point of witch-hunting closeted people out of the service against their will by the thousands. Now the military has decided to really not ask anymore, except in some special circumstances, but gay personnel still can't tell. Will people like Lieutenant Dan Choi stop getting fired for being themselves under this change in policy? Not at all. Can gay men and women in the military stop lying about who they are and still serve? Simply put, no. Joining us now is Lieutenant Dan Choi. Lieutenant Choi, it is really good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to see you. It's like our one-year anniversary.
It is our one-year anniversary, which I think is paper or tin or something lame. Wood.
We got a couple of papers in the mail after the first date that we had.
What's the status right now of your discharge under Don't Ask, Don't Tell? And what are you in limbo still?
Myself, I am still in limbo, and I could be fired right after I get off the set here. I mean, Don't Ask, Don't Tell is still in place, and all of these exemptions or the more humane ways to implement Don't Ask, Don't Tell, none of that applies to me or anybody who simply just wants to tell the truth about who they are.
So your feeling about this change in policy is that, obviously, in your case, it still won't affect you, but in general, you think this is a tweak to the existing policy. This isn't a substantial change.
Well, it was an attempt, just as Secretary Gates said, to try to make the implementation a little bit more humane, but I think it misses the point entirely. What's inhumane, what's absolutely intolerable about Don't Ask, Don't Tell itself is that it enforces closetedness, and it enforces shame and hiding and lying and deception. And that is not in keeping with any of the Army values or any of the military's values or American values. So it misses the point entirely.
Dan, last week you were arrested after you chained yourself to the White House fence. We had some images of that we showed our viewers. I wondered, you're a savvy activist and an incredible advocate for this cause, not only for yourself, but for everybody who's fighting it. When you made the decision to do that, I wondered if you were being specific, if you felt like that meant the holdup now is with the White House that you changed yourself to, not with Congress, not with the Pentagon.
Well, it's really obvious that the president now needs to show resolve, strong resolve, to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and the ball is still in his court. The defense authorization bill can include the repeal language. And in that way, the Republicans or anybody who opposes getting rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell would have to get 60 votes. And so when the president responds to activists and says, I will repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell this year, I will work with Congress, and I need your help, keep pressuring leaders like me. As an Army officer, I hear a directive, an order, a command. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that he knows. The ball is still in his court, and we need to see action.
What do you think about the strategy that has been taken in terms of having Defense Secretary Bob Gates direct a Pentagon year-long review? And it's not about whether to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. As you heard him say there quite clearly, it's about how. He says if Congress repeals it, if the laws change, this is about how we'll repeal it. What do you think about that?
Well, when I hear people talk about the study, I get so absolutely confused and frustrated. You don't have to look too far. You don't have to look all the way to Australia or Canada or Israel or any of our NATO allies that we're serving with in Afghanistan. You can look at the Secret Service or the CIA or the FBI or the State Department. They have none of these kinds of Don't Ask, Don't Tell or discrimination saying that you must lie about who you are. But we can't prove these statistics about unit cohesion, because essentially that's what people are trying to figure out. Is there going to be a negative impact? And I know just personally, I went back to my unit, and I mean, a lot of people wondering what the reaction was like. You know, people would be surprised. The first question that comes out of people's mouths is, what was Rachel Maddow like? They want to know. And they say, we love Rachel Maddow because she speaks the truth, and she is not afraid to tell it like it is. And you know what, Rachel, what the soldiers really respect most, and what they demand of their leaders, is not to be of a certain orientation, or a certain race, or a certain religion, or anything. They want to see courage. They want to know that the leader can step up and speak the truth when it needs to be spoken. And I speak the truth for all of these other people who cannot speak up for themselves. And that's what they respect. So there's no negative impact. When people can be honest about themselves, there's always a positive impact.
Lieutenant Dan Choi, you have had a heck of a year.
It's been quite a year.
It's been quite a year.
And I've seen so many activists throughout the entire country, and so many organizations that do so many wonderful things. And I knew that when I was on that fence, I was not alone. Robin McGehee, somebody who was so inspiring in all of her life, she handcuffed me to that fence. And when I had those chains on me, on my waist, and the fetters and the shackles on my legs, for the first time I knew that on the outside it matched what was on the inside, having to live in the closet and to suffer through Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I see so much of these people that just step up and say, you know what, I am somebody, and I deserve full equality. And that's what we intend to fight for.
Dan Choi, congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far. I look forward to seeing you under different circumstances sometime soon. Thanks.
Thank you.